Yeah, I love cooking. I talked about these people at the rental office. Whenever I cook, I take to them some of it. And one day I asked one of the ladies, she was alone. I told her, "Are you allergic?" Because I garnished the food with nuts. Uh, are you allergic to any of the nuts? She said, "No, I'm just allergic to empty plates." Now, poor woman, now she's diabetic, she can't take my sweets. My name is Samiha Barakat. I'm Canadian of Palestinian origin. I'm very proud of my origin. Once we had one of the community centers made us an activity at Ottawa campus, and I had a question for the mayor, Jim Watson. So I told him, Sabiha Barakat, Canadian of Palestinian origin, and I asked him the question. At the end, uh, he had a small speech, and he said, "I'm proud of those who are proud of their origin." I lived in Jaffa. I remember since I was 4 years old, because I left it when I was 5. Wasn't that long time that I remember from Jaffa. Jaffa was a harbor. Jaffa, Haifa, Akka, Gaza were harbors in Palestine because these cities are on the Mediterranean. And Jaffa was the biggest city in Palestine. Tel Aviv was just a new Jewish settlement. It was new at that time in the 40s. It's not far from Jaffa. I walked from 4 years ago from Tel Aviv to Jaffa. I walked. My father, Allah yarhamu, late father, was mayor of Jaffa, and my mother was very good housewife. We were 7 at that time. We were 8. My eldest brother was at the American University of Beirut. So, and then I had another brother and sister after immigration, one in Egypt, one in Iraq. So my father was a wholesale merchant. He used to buy the wheats, in particular wheat, grains, but in particular wheat from Russia. It's called Muscovy, and Muscovy, and the Canadian, the best wheat in the world. Since I was a child, I know that the Canadian wheat is the best. I remember, like any child, was happy child, go to school, take from the backyard the big yellow rose that smells so nice. Every morning, almost, I give one to my teacher. Her name was Lydia. I still remember her name, Lydia. Yeah. Then I remember that we stopped. The war started, and the schools closed, and children are not going to school anymore. So when the schools closed, like any other children, we stayed at home. And then bombing started heavily, every day, from the evening until the morning. And I was scared in my bedroom, of course, with other sisters. But my mom took me to her bedroom because I used to scream when there is a bomb, as if it were in our house. The people opposite, just across the road from us, they fled to I don't know where. Like nobody was in the street except us. Nobody. It was an empty street, and my father doesn't want to leave. He wants to stay in Jaffa. That's when my elder uncle came. He didn't find us in Gaza because he took his family back and forth from Jaffa to Gaza when he didn't find us, and he heard about the massacres that the Israelis did. So he got crazy and he came. What are you doing here? And he said, "You are coming." My mother said, "Where?" She said, "You are coming to Gaza." there are massacres, you have to come quickly. They said, no, Abal is not here. He doesn't want to leave. Okay, let him here. He doesn't want to leave, let him stay here. I'm taking you and the children. Let's go. So he took us by force. At that time, my father came and he said, it's not going. Anyway, we were scared. I don't think even we took enough money, enough food, because we didn't know that it will take us more than 10 hours. We just left, taking nothing. That's why the Canadian government, when I came, and they wanted proof of my date of birth, I say, I don't have that certificate of birth. We fled from Palestine, we took nothing. Normally it's 1 hour, 1:30 minutes between Gaza and Jaffa. It took us more than 10 hours from the morning until after midnight. We were going zigzag between the mountains because the Haganah, the Israeli land troops, were trying to kill us, and the British patrols say, no, leave them, these are children, let them go. So we left. We arrived to Gaza after midnight. My father stayed, and all his cousins came to our house, and he came to Gaza, and there was no food in Gaza, and he has in his stores in Jaffa full of grains and wheat. So he puts himself in danger. He went to Jaffa to bring that to people because they are starving in Gaza. We were living in Gaza, and my grandfather's house, it's a big house, very big house. It's on the way of the funerals, of the cemetery. So every morning, tens of funerals passing, and I used to stand at the front of that street, which belongs, it's a small street, it's called Barakat Street. It's for my grandfather. He was rich. And so I used to stand in that street at the beginning, watching people crying, and these skilled people going to be buried there. And one day, one of our neighbors, not the neighbor himself, his son, he was maybe 18, 19 years old, he prayed the dawn prayer, and when he left the mosque, he was smoking. So the Israeli fighters saw the light, they bombed at him, and the next morning I saw his brain stuck on the wall. People have one homeland, I have two. I don't know to be proud of or to cry about it, or I don't know, really, I don't know. I have Canada, which I'm proud of, and I have Palestine. Of course, my second homeland was Iraq. Then we moved from Iraq to Kuwait. From to Kuwait, I came to Canada. That's my story. It's not. I don't want to remember it, but I do remember it. Although I don't want to remember the horrible hours or days I lived. I don't. It makes me cry. I wish I were in Jaffa. I wish I could go back, live in my parents' house, and die there. I want to die there. But it is occupied anyway. That's my story.